The rain poured down over the cracked asphalt of a forgotten highway somewhere in Texas. A lone man in a tattered uniform walked slowly, his boots covered in dust, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. His name was Captain Michael Harris, U.S. Army, a name once spoken with pride, now whispered with pain. He had been gone for 7 long years. The world had changed since he left for Afghanistan. His hometown looked smaller, older, quieter. But it wasn't just the place that changed, he had changed. The man who left as a proud officer now carried the invisible scars of war, the screams, the loss, the guilt. Every step he took on that long road home was heavy, not because of his bag, but because of the memories that clung to him like ghosts. He still remembered that last mission. A scorching day in the Helmand Valley. His platoon was ambushed. Michael made the call to hold their ground until evacuation arrived. But the help came too late. 3 soldiers died under his command, including his best friend, Sergeant Davis, a man who once said, "If I don't make it home, promise me you'll look after my little girl." And now, as Michael neared the edge of town, he wondered, could he face that little girl? Could he look into the eyes of his fallen brother's family? The highway curved around a hill, revealing a faded sign that read, "Welcome to Willow Creek, home of the brave." He smiled bitterly. Home of the brave. He used to believe that. Michael reached the small diner on Main Street, the same one he and Davis used to sneak into before deployment, sharing burgers and bad jokes. The bell above the door jingled as he stepped inside. The smell of fresh coffee and fried eggs hit him like a memory. Behind the counter, a woman looked up, gray hair tied back, soft lines of age around her kind eyes. It was Mrs. Jacobs, the diner owner who used to call them her army boys. Her eyes widened. Michael. My God, Michael Harris? He nodded, forcing a small smile. Hey, Mrs. Jacobs. She came around the counter and hugged him tightly. We thought you were gone. They said you. I made it back, he interrupted gently. Just took a little longer than planned. Her eyes glistened. Your mama will be so happy. You should go see her. She came in every week asking if there was news. Michael looked down. His hands trembled slightly. Yeah. I will. But deep inside, he wasn't ready. Not yet. He wasn't sure how to face her, not until he faced them. Mrs. Jacobs looked at him with motherly concern. You look tired, son. Sit down. I'll get you some coffee on the house. As he sat by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass, he saw something that froze him. Across the street, by the park, a young girl, maybe 10 years old, was placing flowers at a small memorial plaque. He didn't need to read the name. He already knew. Sergeant Thomas Davis. And beside her stood a woman, Davis's widow, Rachel. She looked older now, the years carved into her face, but still carried that same quiet strength. Michael's chest tightened. He'd written her dozens of letters after the mission, but never sent them. What could he possibly say to make it right? Still, something inside pushed him forward. He left the diner, crossing the street slowly, each step heavier than the last. Rachel turned just as he approached. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Michael? He swallowed hard. Hey, Ratch. For a moment, silence hung between them, broken only by the soft patter of rain. The little girl turned toward him. Mom, who is that? Rachel's voice cracked. Sweetheart, that's your daddy's friend. The one he always talked about. The girl smiled shyly. You were with my dad? Michael knelt down, his throat tightening. Yeah. I was. He was the bravest man I ever knew. She handed him one of the flowers from her hand. For him? He nodded, tears burning his eyes. For him. As the flower touched the plaque, the dam inside him broke. All the pain, the guilt, the loneliness, it poured out silently in the rain. Rachel placed a hand on his shoulder. You came home, Michael. That's what he'd have wanted. He shook his head. I don't know if I deserve it. You do, she said firmly. Because you never stopped fighting. You lived, and that's what matters. For the first time in years, Michael felt something he hadn't felt since the war. Peace. Weeks passed, and Michael slowly began to find his place again. The town welcomed him with open arms, though he still struggled with the quiet. No more gunfire, no more radio chatter, just the sound of wind through the trees. He started helping out at the local high school, mentoring kids who dreamed of joining the military. At first, it was strange being looked at like a hero when he still saw himself as broken. But when one student asked him, "What's the hardest part about war?" Michael finally knew his answer. "It's not the fighting," he said softly. "It's coming home." Those words spread through the school like wildfire. Soon, veterans from nearby towns began reaching out to him. They'd sit together at the diner, sharing stories they'd buried for years. Michael realized he wasn't alone in his pain, and neither were they. One evening, as the sun dipped low over Willow Creek, Rachel and her daughter, Lily, joined him for dinner. Lily was talking excitedly about her school project on heroes in our town. When she finished, she looked up at him. "Mr. Harris, can I put you in my project?" He chuckled softly. "Why me?" "Because my dad said heroes are people who come home and keep helping others." The words hit him like a warm light through the fog. Later that night, Michael visited the small cemetery on the edge of town. He stood before the rows of white markers, the names of men he once fought beside. He placed his cap on the ground. "We made it home, boys. I'll keep my promise. I'll look after them, all of them." As the wind whispered through the trees, it felt like they were answering him, not with words, but with peace. The next morning, he hit the road again, not to leave, but to travel to nearby towns, helping veterans find their own way back to life. He called it the Long Road Home Project. And for every mile he drove, every soldier he helped, every family he comforted, he carried one message. The war doesn't end when the fighting stops. It ends when we learn to live again. That road, the long road home, wasn't just his. It belonged to every soldier who ever wore the uniform, and every heart waiting for them to return.